Alright, so now it's time for the good, the bad, the role play, and we're doing Life Domain Cleric today. So, me and Eron are gonna go through this because this is one of his favorite subclasses.
Yep. So the last one that I played, I loved it. Every bit of it. That was really fun for me.
So, first off, what was it that drew you to this class?
Yeah, great question, Chris. No one else had any access to healing in the party, and I was the last person to pick a character.
And that's typically how it happens.
They're like, we'll just use health potions, and I was like, no, I need more consistency and survivability off of this.
Okay, so instead of like looking to be like a battle cleric or straight up like range cleric or something, you said I'm just going to be the healing cleric.
I wanted to be the absolute healing tank. I think the big pros for me, more access to healing spells, larger healing spells, extra hit points added on to those at a very early level.
Well, yeah, at first level, every healing spell you cast, you get, an extra 2 plus the spell's level. So, like, that's...
Especially really early on where health pools aren't that much and you don't have that many spells. Every spell that I have to do, I want to hit that max if I can.
Makes sense.
And then on top of that, having access to heavy armor was something that was huge for me. Because in the particular party that we were running, there was a barbarian that had a great big hit point pool, and then I had 2 rogues and a sorcerer, and I was the next person. I was like, oh, and there was a bard. So sorry, and I was like, great. I need to be able to have access to heal as much as I can, and also have the ability to put my face in front of there. So when the barbarian was getting low, or maybe I didn't have access, my AC was going to be higher.
Right. So how often did you actually use your channel divinity to do that big bump heal?
There were quite a few times where I ended up doing that. We ended up with a lot of undead around, so I was having to use that channel divinity for that side of it. But yeah, I was dropping heals and then putting myself in danger with as high of a possible AC.
Yeah, because you have to be within 30 feet of every player when you do it. So, like, you have to position yourself in certain ways.
Oh, yeah, that was big time battle tactics stuff that we were rocking and rolling with for me personally. And 2 of those party members, it was the first time that they were playing the game. So they didn't really understand certain battle tactics, positioning on the battlefield. So that was a headache in and of itself, but it was fun.
Right. So how often did the Blessed Healer feature at 6th level come into play, where when you heal somebody, it also heals you? How often did that come up?
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in there, and of course it was a crit because my AC was at that level where it was 15, 16, 17 or a 20, and I would just right to the face, and definitely needed heals for them, heals for me at the exact same time.
Right.
And for that personally, I knew that I had to keep myself alive because none of these other people were going to. So I went with, on the power gaming side of my thought process, if I can stay alive, I can eventually heal them. And if I can heal them, they can protect me. And now you see the positivity circle.
Gotcha. So what about the Divine Strike? How often did that come up?
I wish I had more opportunities too. Not as much in this particular campaign that I was in, and that we're still rocking and rolling with, but haven't yet. Looking forward to making that happen on a very soon basis.
Gotcha. Okay, and if you got to the higher levels at 17, all of your healing is maxed out.
Yes.
So instead of rolling dice, you just take whatever the highest number is.
Yeah.
Is that a big important factor in your character?
Yeah, because everybody, I would look around and there was consistently heals needed from multiple people. So I needed heals going out to multiple people multiple times during the same encounter. It was a headache in and of itself. It was one of those, after you game, you sit down and you you're mentally worn out as well because you're thinking of everything to the best of your ability. But that was what was really fun for me.
Okay, so since your character was mainly focused on healing, how much does that impact the spells you choose?
Yeah, it was heals all day, and then cantrips being able to do little stuff here and there. But for me, my turns were pretty easy and set out: move, heal, move, obstruct, move, heal, and that was a lot of fun for me. Just knowing that I was the MVP of the healing game. I just wanted to be the highest number one when it came to that.
So did you heal more in combat or out of combat?
Our party got in quite a few encounters, obviously in combat, going through stuff, but we did a lot of stupid stuff out of combat as well. But I think more health pools were damaged by creatures than we damaged ourselves.
Gotcha. All right, now let's move on to the bad. All right, so moving on with the bad, first off, what is the bad, in your opinion, of this subclass?
So you hit on it a little bit right then. Moving on, there's so much movement that has to happen, and you're in heavy armor. So a lot of times, different terrain, getting up and down to people, moving, having to touch them, and be in situations, maybe you have someone dropped into something. I have to go down to get that touch on that person, and now they have the ability to stand up, they're healed, and get out, and now I'm down here in what about me? So
the positioning, placing yourself in danger, or just being too far away from somebody, and possibly having to use a spell that has the range but is a lower heal.
That, and I typically didn't have the ability, especially early on, to do multiple things. I was just a healing person, so if I looked around and everyone is in full green 100%, my cantrip for 1d4 plus this for radiant damage I didn't feel very effective until someone got hit in the face, and then I got to come in and save the day. So I wish there was more versatility, but that may have also been on how I built that character too. On it was just heal spells. Maybe I could have done better, but since I was the only healing person,
you wanted to make sure you had the heal to be able to do it, versus saying, "Hey, I'm going to take Guiding Bolt, and I'm going to take this so I can just massive damage." But it's like, well, I kind of need to keep these guys up. So you almost kind of tunneled yourself.
Yeah, big time. It was me just being all in on the heal side of things and less on the damage. So that was probably one of the biggest drawbacks for me on that particular class for that.
Okay, so the biggest drawback is if people weren't getting hurt, you didn't feel as effective as a character.
Absolutely, but again, that's just the way that I chose that character to be. So that's as much on me as it is the character build.
Okay, was there anything else bad outside of range, heat, and healing focused?
No, for me, clerics have always been a lot of fun, and that glue that we were kind of talking about of keeping everybody together. So for me, I enjoyed that inside of combat, outside of combat. I was able to meet a lot of people on the religious side of stuff that kind of pulled the party into fun directions. The church always has lots of stuff going on, so if you're ever looking for things to do, get on over there to the church and they can help you out with something. Even if it's just doing stuff for them to further their cause.
All right, so this is also one of my favorite subclasses as well, and I think one of the biggest drawbacks of it is that you become so much of the healer that the party can start to resent you if you aren't capable of healing, or if your dice you're rolling low, you're like, oh man, I got you, cure wounds, 2 1s. It's still better than if a different subclass of cleric did it, but if the dice aren't with you, and if you're not pulling your weight in the healing aspect, the other players are like, come on, man, this is your thing.
Yeah, I will also say if there were multiple back-to-back combats, and our DM found that out, that if we were only doing 1 combat a day, I was able to go full out with it. Heal. All right, combat number 2. Oh, heal? Question mark? Okay, cool. Combat number 3.
But yeah,
Potion? So I would say that would be the drawback on that side of it, as well as the limited number of spells that you have to be able to heal if you are the sole healer.
Yeah, because if you're so focused on the healing, like you don't think about the combat. You don't think about some of the utility sometimes, and like I think that's where trying to find the balance of heal spells with utility and possible combat is where the bad of this class comes in, because you're so focused on something that when you don't have that, like you were saying, you're just standing there like cantrip, because I've got nothing else until one of you gets critted or something.
I think I blacked out and went with like offense wins games, defense wins championships, like football mentality of it, where I just tried to build myself up as this meat wall, heavy
The best
armored.
offense is a good defense.
Yes, so but on the vice versa of that, a lot of times if we just had more offense, that could have been ended way earlier, and then maybe those heals weren't necessary or needed after. So the devil's advocate on that side of it, if you go all in on just burst damage from the beginning, maybe you wouldn't have taken those hits after that actually did kill you, or you didn't have the spells to be able to heal it. So that's my take on the bad and the negativity on it.
I like it. All right, so now on the role-playing aspect of the Life Domain Cleric, how much role-playing has your character been involved with the party, just in dungeons, whatever, or even outside?
I think I talk people into doing stupid stuff more often because they knew that I had heals for them after, so that actually let people loosen up a little bit and do things that they normally wouldn't do, kind of because they knew that the healing could happen from it. So I would like to think of our party, or it's kind of like the jackass party of stuff, except for there was a person that could instantly heal Steve-O as soon as he ran his shopping cart into a...
Go ahead. That giant hand with spikes that comes out and hits you, I got you, man. Yeah. Just let it happen.
Absolutely. So it's kind of one of those, people do ridiculous things when they know that there's that safety net. I was that safety net.
That's fantastic. All right, but what about outside of dungeons, like in cities? How did that role-playing come about for there?
So the particular character that I was playing was a Furbolg Life Domain Cleric. So I was a lot to myself and on the nature side of stuff and doing more side quest things. So I didn't have as much interactions as I could have, but that was more based off of my character and how that character would have been played rather than what I actually wanted to do in certain situations. So I think at that point was one of the things that's not the negative side of the power build, but since I didn't know as much from that, I kind of had to follow the limited information that I had on Furbolgs to get them, and doing what that character would do. So the opposite side of power building is if the race is the last thing you pick, you have to make it work. So that was kind of the negative part on that, but still fun.
Gotcha. All right. What are some characters or people you could portray a Life Domain Cleric as if they were wanting to idolize this off of something else?
So for me, I love Blizzard. They've done some fantastic things on the gaming side of it. Overwatch was an awesome game that I lost way too many hours to. But basically, if the healer Mercy and Reinhardt, the big tank guy with all the armor, if they made consensuals with each other, and then a child was born, I think you get the kind of best of both worlds of big guy with a shield, high AC, soaking up damage and hard to hit, with the ability to do those heals like Mercy did.
Nice.
It's kind of the best of both worlds. Shout out to Hannah Montana.
All right, and one of my favorite video games is Final Fantasy VII, and playing a character like Aerith would easily be a Life Domain Cleric, because that was her limits. They all focused around healing the party and making sure everybody was up and able to continue the fight, and it's why she was one of my favorite characters until I learned she could die.
Naruto's something that's hit, close at our house and enjoying those. I think Lady Tsunade is probably pretty close on the life domain side of it. Less physical armor, maybe some plot armor built in there for sure.
Some key armor.
Super powerful and just ridiculous amounts of heals, not only to herself and on the touch side of things, but the ability for that AoE style heals. Split off with the slugs and everybody. Like the village wouldn't have survived without that. So that's one of those best offense is a good defense, and she really put that together.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But hey, these are our opinions. If there's something you guys think would make a better life domain cleric, or wait a minute, we didn't even get to the best one. What is that lady's name? The Red Cross lady?
Clara Barton.
Claire Barton.
Yeah.
Real life domain cleric.
Red Cross creator, and basically the person that gave really brought everything together on an instruction wise to be able to not only do that healing herself but teach other people to do that healing. So shout out to Clara. Thanks for doing what you do.
Right. Thanks for being a real life domain cleric.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, hey, any other suggestions, put them down in the comments, guys. If you like what we're putting out, make a like, comment, subscribe. Until then, guys, we'll see you on the next video.
Bye.